Hey guys, welcome back to Taste of Victory. I'm Tasty RC, and today we got an exciting purple 1.5 deck profile build for you guys. So purple largely goes unchanged going into 1.5 because it got so many of its cards in our 1.0 booster set. A lot of these changes really do just come down to consistency unless you're playing a Mallow Meotismon build. But here we're going to be playing what was popular in 1.0. We're going to be turboing up into Millenniumon more efficiently now. So let's go ahead and get to the list. First up, let's start with our rookies. We will be running 14 total rookies, and let's go ahead and start with the first one. It's going to be one copy of Gabumon. So this guy is up first because his inheritable is incredible, trigger, draw 2, and then trash 1 card. So not only do you get to draw, unbricking your hand potentially, you get to fill up your trash for effects based on Digimon like Beelzemon or Lilithmon. So that's good for unbricking hand and to also build your trash. So this is definitely one you want to play with. I have been running this guy as much as 4 or 3 copies before, but because of all the new cards introduced in the set, I kind of wanted to play around with it. One of the reasons I had to play with this ratio and I would ideally want to run more of him was for our next rookie, Impmon, who we are running at 2. Impmon is on deletion, trash the top 3 cards of your deck. So this is another fantastic card to run to fill up your trash quickly, to get effects like Lilithmon and Beelzemon live, and for future cards coming in our next sets that'll also require 10 cards from trash. So I like 2 here just because it's not the best rookie in purple per se, since it's not too game state advancing. It almost exists exclusively to do those effects to fill up your trash. So you don't really need too much of him. Definitely play with this based on how many Beelzemon you want to run in your list, but for me I feel 2 is good for now. Next up, we got 4 Demi-Devimons. So Demi-Devi is just the 2 costs to play rookie. They're great, efficient, and help you go wide when you're bricking or to memory choke your opponent at only 1 memory. After that, we have 4 Tapirmon. So Tapirmon is amazing. He is the backbone of any purple build. On deletion, trigger, draw 1. So this card is fantastic because he's basically a free swing into security that replaces himself with a draw. And if not, he is there to make you go plus on your effects like Chimeramon that lets you destroy one of your Digimon to destroy one of your opponent's level 5 or lower. Not only do you get to destroy, you get rewarded for a draw off it. So Tapirmon is definitely a 4 of. Fantastic card to help you unbrick. And lastly, for finish our rookie lineup, we have Candlemon, a new card introduced for us in Booster Set 1.5. Candlemon is another 2-cost rookie, so we're running him alongside Demi-Devimon, so we can see as many 2-cost rookies as we can in our opening hand, because not only do we get that free Digivolution draw if we just Digivolve into it, but you also get to hardcast for free, or hardcast for 2 memory onto the field, which is very cost efficient. I feel like purple is a pretty decently go second deck. Like ideally you would want to go first, but there's a lot of good options purple to go second. If your opponent leaves you off with only 1 memory, you can Digivolve into a rookie, and then with so many ideally 2-cost rookies to see in your opening hand, the odds of you being able to send them back to 1 as well by hardcasting a 2-cost is pretty high. So that is why we always run more than just the Demi-Devi when we want to run the 2-cost rookies. So that is our rookie lineup. If I like it consistent, I would definitely say play with the Impmon ratios depending what you're running. Like if you're not even running Beelzemon, I would say you could cut it entirely and just max out on Gabumon because he is great for that consistently. Actually, let's next go backwards a bit and go into our eggs. So our eggs are 4 Demi-Miramons and 1 Yamon. So the Demi-Miramon is also a new card introduced at 1.5, and this is on deletion, trigger, draw 1, then trash 1 card from your hand. So this is similar to the Gabumon, This is similar to the Gabumon effect where it's trigger, draw 2, and then trash 1. So if you have a champion over these and they get deleted, you plus like crazy, and you get to fill up your trash. And with the effects that purple has, you're likely to get the card you need back, so you could store it for later in the trash, or you could just get rid of something you don't need. So these pair together fantastically, so that's why I've maxed out my Demi-Miramon build at 4. Next up, I run Yamon. I do have access to Pagumon if I wanted to run it, but I feel like this build fills up its trash pretty fast consistently, so it's not as necessary. Instead, I rather run Yamon because while you have 5 or more cards in your trash, Digimon gets plus 1000 DP. So for a lot of your megas in this build, this is the only way you are getting over Craniumon. This underneath a Boltmon, for example, puts you at 13, just enough for it to swing over, and then hoping they don't have a tie out, because the black matchup is it's like the only matchup that's really rough for purple, I would say, because they have that Craniumon, which you literally cannot do anything about other than hopefully swing over it with some DP boosting somehow, or send it to the bottom of the deck with Millenniumon. So, and that's a level 7, so your consistency, even though we're turboing to get it, is still something of concern. So that's why I do like the one Soul Yamon. A lot of people would suggest running only 4 Devi Miramon and no other baby, just to have that consistency of always seeing this thing to make sure you get those draws and fill up your trash. And that's definitely something to consider if that's your preferred playstyle. So next up, we're moving on to the champion lineup. So first, let's get with the new additions from 1.5 for Miramon. So more consistency, Miramon is a 1 to Digivolve into level 4 champion. So these cards are fantastic because at the start of your turn, if you're going first, let's say, you can start your opponent with only 1 memory and still be able to go into a champion. And if not, they're always cost efficient throughout the game, lets you cycle fast and quickly into your upper cards to get quickly into your ultimate, to get fast to Millenniumon, things like that. And then if you're just bricking, those 1-cost Digivolutions are crucial to help cycle through your deck and hopefully see whatever it is that you need to see in that turn. Next up, we do have Devimon. Devimon is fantastic. I'm sure many of you are familiar with him if you've been playing Purple in 1.0. His effect is the same effect on its main effect and its inheritable. It's Retaliation. When this Digimon is deleted after losing a battle, delete this Digimon it was battling. So this lets you take down any threat if they are arrested and not protected. So unfortunately, this does not get past Craniumon, but as you saw in the webcam battle, this does let you get past something like Alter S, like who's gonna win, the puny 4-cost champion or Alter S? The answer might surprise you, and that is why it's a great card. You want to keep this guy surprised as much as you can, so hold on to your rookie in the breeding area if you know your opponent's gonna start overextending or getting aggressive with their big body they got out. Or if you have a 2-cost rookie that you can play out, just have him there as insurance to eventually go into Devimon. But Devimon is definitely most effective as a surprise rather than having him out on the field, but he can definitely be a great deterror too to stop your opponent from swinging. So there's definitely warranty to having him out on the field as well instead of just always keeping it as a surprise. So I will always max that out because it's a great removal tool to get over some stuff that Purple might not otherwise have answers to, because the more removal you have, the more chance you have drawing into it and different stages of the game, and that's crucial. Now, to finish up our champion lineup, we do have 12 champions. We're going to end it up with Vilemon. So Vilemon's pretty self-explanatory. He is your blocker, so in a pinch, he will save you from losing the game, and you always just want that extra little security to have there to protect your security. So that's pretty self-explanatory for 2-cost blockers. We're going to be running those as our champion lineup for consistency, for removal, and for safety net. Alright, so let's go ahead and get into our ultimate lineup, and let's start again with the new cards introduced in 1.5 for Skull Miramon. So Skull Miramon is a Digivolution of Miramon. Once again, he is just a cheap vanilla ultimate. These let you quickly Digivolve and help you turbo out your Digivolution cards. So that's pretty self-explanatory for Miramon. And then for our next one is good old faithful Chimeramon. So Chimeramon is fantastic level 5 because it's on play, you may delete one of your other Digimon to delete one of your opponent's level 5 or lower Digimon. So as you saw, this is crucial. In a lot of matchups, you do not want your opponent getting to Mega. So if I see a Rise on board or one of the Ludomons, I am playing this, deleting whatever is on my field to make sure you do not get anywhere near that Ragnar or Shine that's going to clear all my security or my board. So that's a fantastic, reliable card. It's synergizing with so much of your other purple cards, like your rookies. We saw we had that Impmon, we had Tapirmon. It synergizes with all that, so you're not just destroying your own Digimon, you're also getting effects off of them. You're either plussing or filling your grave that you need for other Digimon. So Chimeramon's fantastic. You can Digivolve into him. Don't always feel avoiding that. If you need to, you need to. It's the more cost-efficient play. Go for it if there's nothing to remove. But another tech option would be in these ultimate lineup, you could run a 9th ultimate for consistency, Lady Devimon. So Lady Devimon improves your Rookie Rush matchup because when you use an option and you have a Mega Digivolve over it, you get to destroy one of your opponent's Digimon with 3000 DP or less, so that does help in that matchup. And you get to draw 2 when Digivolving into it, which really helps with your drawing and unbricking your hand if you're having a tough time right now. So one ultimate Lady Devimon, maybe cut something down for 2 of it even. It's definitely something to consider depending on your local scene and what you're facing against frequently or how much you value your consistency. Next up, let's go into our ultimate lineup. So we are running some decent varied ultimates. Let's start off with the shortest run Shortest amount, we have 1 Beelzemon. So if you are running Beelzemon, I recommend to actually run this at 2. I am running this at 1 out of necessity. I would definitely recommend this at 2, however, if you have access to it, because this card is great with Impmon. You could quickly warp Digivolve into this from your Impmon for the cost of 4, and when Digivolving, delete one of your opponent's level 4 or lower Digimon. So in the late game, a lot of opponents will like have their blockers out to protect you, usually 1 or 2, but if they only have 1 blocker and it's their last thing keeping them safe, Digivolving into this will get rid of that blocker and you'll be able to swing for game with it. So Beelzemon's a fantastic card for that speed, because also Digivolving over Impmon right away lets you get even faster into Millenniumon to hopefully remove Craniumon or whatever it is that you're stuck dealing with, Alter S, whatever it is. So that is a really good card for that. I recommend at 2 minimum. And in general, if you want to run a tech card in this game, I feel like you have to run it at 2 minimum rather than 1, because you are likely not to see it between security and between drawing through 40 cards. So I think 2 is a magic number when you want to run tech cards. So yeah, 1 Beelzemon out of my necessity, because that's all I have access to, but I do recommend the 2. And then depending on how much of this you want to run, play with your Impmon ratios. Next up, we have Lilithmon. So I really like Lilithmon. She was not too popular in 1.0 in favor of Piedmon, but here we have her effect is 3 Digivolve into 11,000 DP, and when Digivolving, if you have 10 or more cards in your trash, you may return up to 2 purple option cards from your trash to your hand. Your turn, once returned, when you use an option card, gain 2 memory. So this card is good. So one tech option you could do is you could run Darkness Claw, and with this, you not only plus with it, you also now have a potential to beat over Craniumon if they want to block with that. They'll be deleted because it's only 12k DP. So that's not the most consistent strategy. That's not something I'm even advising, but that's an idea there if you want a little tech choice. But because of that, you could also return your Trump Swords, you could return your Night Raids, your Heat Vipers, and then it lets you play your Night Raid for free. So if you need that board presence to swing for game, like if you just need to rookie rush it at the end of the game, you know, outpace your opponent because they card casted a bunch of blockers, let me just cast enough rookies to brute force it. She's a good option. I do like that, only at 2 because I don't feel it's a crucial mega. I see her more as a backup mega if you need to go into it. But it is nice there to synergize with her options and keep recycling those, because a lot of these decks can digivolve pretty fast, like green, so you want to have as much removal as you can on hand, hopefully. So next up, and we are running a total of 7 megas. So next up we do have Boltmon, same as the rest of the Miramon line. We're only running this because it is a cheap cost vanilla, which helps us turbo into Millenniumon. So now that we got in our megas out of the way, let's go to Millenniumon. So again, out of necessity, I am running 1 Millenniumon, but this is a Millenniumon turbo build, so absolutely run 2 of this guy. 2 if you can fit it in, maybe 3. I say 2 is a magic number here, but since you are turboing it, definitely play with that ratio. So Millenniumon is fantastic. In the purple matchup, this is our only out to Craniumon if you can't brute force over it. When Digivolving, return one of your opponent's Digimon to the bottom of their deck and trash all of their Digivolution sources. Then on deletion, if this card has Digivolution cards, you may play this card from your trash without paying its memory cost. So this card is fantastic because it gets to survive and revive itself if it's destroyed, because often you will be having sources over it. Like, the only reason I would imagine you wouldn't is because you revived it already, or you got your sources stripped by blue or something along those lines. So Millenniumon is fantastic removal. Some of the best answers to a lot of problem cards. The purple has a 1.5. I would say it's a necessity in most builds, so definitely get this at 2 minimum if you can get it. He's a little cheaper right now because people are moving on to a bunch of new toys in 1.5, so get those while they're low. Otherwise, a fantastic, fantastic card. That revival effect is really handy. You can make some really huge assert your dominance plays, like pop your own Millenniumon with Chimeramon and you still have your Millenniumon on the field, or you could just safely swing into security. If you reveal a big guy that would destroy it, it's okay, it'll come back, you can swing again next turn. So Millenniumon is fantastic, definitely should be running that in purple. Okay, so the options, let's move on to options now. So we are running 1 Heat Viper. So I know I was saying about you should be running 2 minimum, but the thing is Heat Viper, you only ever really want to see this once, because after early game or late game, you really don't need it as much. It becomes kind of bricky in hand. You will never get the full value off again outside of early game or really, really late grind game. So 1, and if you hope to see it, is really all you need. And you could always recycle it with Lilithmon if this is checked in security or something. You could use it, get add to your hand for security. So I'd say 2 if you want to play around with it. 1 if you're not too worried about the rookie rush matchup. Sorry for mumbling there a bit. Next up, we're going into Night Raid. So Night Raid, play 1 level 3 Digimon, play 1 purple level 3 Digimon for your trash without paying its memory cost, and of course any on-play effects don't activate. But then if this is revealed in security, you get to activate this card's main effect. So this is fantastic. I would recommend 3 if you want to, if you're more comfortable with that. I do have access to it, but I decided to not run a 3 because what I feel like is eventually I am going to wish when I see these Night Raids in my hand, I'm going to wish that they were actual rookies that I could just play instead, you know, on my opening turn and stuff like that, or first couple of turns. So I like this number just to not brick on it early game, because I actually want Digimon to see in the beginning of the first couple of turns. But you could definitely still make a case for 3. 3 still isn't a really bricky number, I would say, at all. So, but because this is crucial in security, there's a lot of turns where that extra body revealed in security will win you the game because your opponent was just playing around and playing enough blockers to block what you had on the field at the time. So that become a huge surprise, a huge momentum swinger. You could play out level 3 Digimon like Tapirmon for only 2. So Night Raid is fantastic, should definitely be run at 2 minimum, ideally 3 if you want to play around, but I needed to find space for all these different cards I wanted to run. Next up for our options, we have 3 Trump Swords. So Trump Sword is delete one of your opponent's unsuspended Digimon, and then security effect, activate this card's main effect. So this is fantastic, it revealed in security because it will pop an Omnimon that has restanded itself through its own effect, and if not, it's just Gaia Force for cheaper with only condition being unsuspended Digimon. So that is kind of hard if your opponent is expecting it and playing around it, but otherwise, mid-game this becomes a great tool to get rid of something that's getting out of hand, and it's really one of our only good, well, there's plenty of good removal in Purple, but it's as good a removal as you get compared to Gaia Force for comparison's sake. So definitely running it at 3. I would say absolutely do not run this at 4. Gaia Force is completely unconditional, so you'll see a lot of builds of red running it at 4 because you never feel bad revealing it in security. It is huge momentum swinger in security, while Trump Sword is not as likely to go off in security because of the unsuspended clause. And you get so much recycling between Matt, between Lilithmon, probably some other cards, that 3 is really more than enough you'll need between everything you'll have recycling it. So 3 is definitely the magic number for Trump Sword. And lastly, we go to our Tamer lineup, Matt. Matt Ishida, the purple one. Start of your turn. If you have 2 or more memory, set it to 3. If you have 2 or less memory, set it to 3. And on play, return one of your purple Digimon card or purple option cards from trash to your hand. And then, like every single Tamer, security effect is play this card without paying its memory cost. So Matt's great because not only is it a memory tamer that fixes your memory so you can't get choked at 1, which is a popular strategy in this game, you also get to recycle your option cards or your Digimon cards. So like I said, you have many ways to get Trump Sword back into hand, so I really don't feel like you need all 4 or else it's kind of bricky. You can get back your ultimates or your megas rather, your ultimates too, I guess, that were stuck in security if you needed it that turn, and then you still get to set your memory at 3. So Matt is fantastic. I like it at 2 because I feel like once he's out and he's doing his job. I don't really need to see it more than that. And with how much cycling and how much drawing we have in purple, you are very likely to hit it still, because even if it's stuck in security, it'll just play itself for free. You can feel free to test out 3 for sure, just if you absolutely want to be maximum positive that you will see it in your games. But I felt pretty comfortable in my testing of only 2 of it. So that is our 50 card purple 1.5 deck. A lot of the changes come down to consistency that the vanilla rookies introduced to us, and then otherwise the power of Millenniumon to get over something we can't naturally handle otherwise, and get into it quickly to be able to remove that threat as fast as possible before it starts snowballing and it gets out of hand and we can't answer to our opponent anymore. So that was this deck profile. I hope you guys really liked it. Let me know what other cards, what other decks you want to see, some techs you are running in this deck for your personal purple builds. So yeah, let me know whatever you want to see in the next videos, and until those next videos, I'll see you then. Remember to stay hungry until you get a taste of victory.